Hello and welcome to the Brother Slam. Don't mind me all bundled up. House has no heat today. Fun stuff. Okay, so this is a Aeon Trespass update number 68, which is very exciting. Wanted to comment really quick on the Into the Unknown Enormity Pledge Manager. The issue I had is actually not an issue. It's just kind of hard to see what the fix is. There's a very small button that says Payment List, and if you click the Payment List button, it pulls up any outstanding payments. So a quick little aside done. Let's jump into Update 68. Is this your father? Parasite rework, the ATO Souse, character progression, map icons, 5th Triskelion, beard nymph, and more. Hey guys and gals, I'm back like clockwork with another exciting Aeon Trespass update. And now it's Sins of Heracles all the time. I'm very happy I can now loosen the self-imposed gag order on the new Heracles systems, solutions, mechanics, because, let me tell you, there's a lot of exciting stuff I can't wait to get to your tables. Remember this guy? This is Heracles, your would-be father in his prime. The day he left. Keep this image in your mind. As an aside, I did scroll through this earlier. There's a lot of really crazy stuff. It's a good, cool, awesome update. Okay, Lernaean Parasite rework. Another month, another glorious rework. This time, it's the Lernaean, I'm not too sure on the pronunciation, Parasite. Although I'm actually not that bothered with the original art piece and miniature. They are gruesome enough and with a lot of detail. The original didn't quite fit the updated environs of Lerna and its associated story campaign, as Lerna is, at least in the Aeon Trespass world, located closer to the desiccated sea. A whale would be much more appropriate. A little more unique in my mind too. I didn't like the previous mini. Like there wasn't. I do think a lot of the issues with the sculpts and such were just the lack of like contrast and detail that was in them. But this elephant's really cool, but this is just a little bit more, I don't know, unique, I guess? Okay, so let's see. I give you a Lernaean Parasite Redux. There you go. It's a big old sperm whale. It looks like it's all ripped and twisted, and they've changed the faces of the parasite itself. I think these look a little bit better. I didn't mind the other ones, but they were almost a little bit too comical. These kind of remind me of, if anyone's familiar with Comet Lord, who's a Canadian 3D sculptor, False Hydra. Look it up. It's terrifying and really cool. So I'm here for that, especially that face. That is horrific. Very happy with this one. It retains the essence of the primordial, it being infested with the worms, still alive, but in total agony, while injecting much more violent energy and horror. Violent energy and horror 110%. Hope you like it. Yeah, nasty. So it's like twist and bends. There's its tail. It looks like it's like too long, but that's part of the horror aspect in my mind. And little gross worm things wrapping around its lower jaw. Oh, it's so horrific. It's like a twisted, gruesome kraken. They also throw in some item cards in the back here too, which is pretty sweet. So we have some sort of what looks like a helmet would be my guess, and then probably a tentacle whip. Lion Eater miniature update. Did you know that the Nemean Lion Eater was the first primordial created for Sins of Heracles, all the way back in 2018? Yes, your eyes do not deceive you. It was even part of our miniature Kickstarter campaign, Eshkaton. A lot has changed since then, and now so too has the model. I'm finally happy with the bristles looking like actual bristles, curving to match the creature's movement direction. Yeah, I don't have a side-by-side comparison. Again, I don't think there's anything wrong with the previous version, but this just looks more natural and improved for sure. Very cool. Very, very cool. Yeah, honestly, I think the last one was one of the better ones of the sculpts for this game. Just like the motion to it and such. But yeah, those spikes do look much more natural. And again, cool items. You get a spiky hauberk and a lion cape. Very cool. Another little side thing, I mention this all the time in this game, but I love how each season or cycle or whatever it may be will have unique little art aspects that go along with it, UI. Antiost miniature. Here's the big bad brute of spring. So case in point, spring has the green leaves. Summer or fall? I think this is fall. Yeah, I can't remember which one it ends with. Okay, Antiost miniature. Here's the big bad brute of spring. This definitely gives me like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde kind of vibes with the mask, just the brutish kind of like unearthly look to it. I'm assuming the sword and spear are something to do with Heracles. I don't know the root lore enough to comment too further. And interesting kind of how they are retaining some sort of natural Gaia vibe with the branches coming off of his limbs there. Just how the miniature that this is replacing was kind of like the tree hydra monster thing. And I'm curious if there's going to be like some sort of connection with Gaia. Arsenal miniature. I love this one. Quoting Morrison. So was there any... Yeah, so no art assets aside from the sculpt. This picture we've seen before looks imposing as heck. Love it. And the miniature looks pretty imposing too. Fisticuffs. Okay, yeah, I like it more from this angle than this one particularly, because it kind of looks like a giant hair hammerhead there. But yeah, cool. I think that is an improvement. And items once again too, so we have a shield blade, and that's pretty sweet. And then another, some sort of helmet here as well, excuse me. Bigger maps. Yes, it was bound to happen. As the questlines for the individual regions, campaigns / sins began to crystallize, so did my ambitions grow. Suffice to say, most of the map grew bigger, some quite so, looking at you, Nemia. They're not quite the same size as cycle maps, but they are getting there. However, due to the new journey mechanics, they will feel bigger and more interesting, to the point you can literally get lost in them, more so than ATO. Each one will feel like a living, breathing, open world. Blurred out and shaded for your safety, that's 12 regions for you, almost too much. So, this I'm assuming is the first season that we'll dive into. Cool. Chaining of the open world. Just like it says on the box, when the total open world, 12 enormous regions with a new point-to-point journey system was put to the test, it was too big, to the point of being cumbersome. Questlines could be left dangling for countless hours, and difficulty progression became murky. Above all, that total freedom impacted our core systems negatively. Primordial progression, gear progression, new class progression, see below, story progression, it was all thrown out of whack. It would work, but it would lose too much of what made ATO ATO in the first place. Too much of the stuff you've all loved and enjoyed. So I've changed it a bit. Made it more structured so it follows a loose thread. This does not impact your ability to go straight from summer to spring, to incorporate old ATO or ATI primordials and titans to return to a previous region, or, to most crucially, fail a regional campaign and move forward, because that's a thing. Now there are even more ways to end each region. That's cool, I like that. ATO, we technically did lose Cycle 1, and we just didn't play it rules as written because we didn't want to repeat. And I think for the sake of story, I like this too, because it's something that they did with Kingdoms Forlorn, where specifically they didn't do fail forward, you fail in your immediate quest, have an outcome based on it, and then continue ahead. So that's really cool, and I can only imagine the behind the scenes branching tree structure of how this all is going to go by the end of this game. Insane. Okay, all in all, it's not a change anyone will actually feel during the game, because inverted journey paradigm continue. Wait, we've talked about this already. This time, I'm sure of it. Yes, I have. And we will continue to be having this conversation until I properly convey my excitement about this system, what it means for Sins of Heracles, and the future of ITU adventure games. Where to start? A cursory look at the new map tiles will reveal a net of nodes. These are the spaces your oikos will move across along dotted lines. Some of these nodes belong to the wilderness, dark, and some to civilization, light, which will have an impact on the encounters you have, obstacles you face, and the small primordials you'll be able to hunt. And that's not all. Each node, whether it's wilderness or civilization, has a secondary role, denoted by its symbol. Some of these may be familiar to you. There's a progress node, for example, which will yield you a progress token. Others are more elaborate. There are hunting grounds where you can replenish your oikos supplies, hidden bronze people workshops where you craft your gear, small settlements where you can camp and rejuvenate, and large cities full of opportunities and rumors. There are place of interest nodes, which will serve different purposes in conjunction with your current story card objective, with encounter stories, exploration cards, and more. There are nodes that yield Titan Seeds, you can guess their symbol, and nodes which, for the first time, will present you with special adventures tied to that specific spot on the map, something I know fans will appreciate. It was a criticism by some folks in the original ATO, how the various adventure and like story hubs or whatever wouldn't necessarily be tied to that location, just like an overarching story that you progress as you go on, feeling disjointed. I never really got that. I enjoyed it. It was fun, and I think it made sense for the replayability, which I'm never going to replay. It's just too big of a game. But tied to specific locations means they can go extra hard on the art and stuff, and that is a plus to me. And this is just the start. Each move you draw a card, an exploration card that governs threat accumulation, as well as adversary and typhon movement, story encounters, long-lasting circumstances, and weather, and more. When threat strikes 12, the primordial you were stalking will finally come into view, and you will proceed to a threat battle. Threat battles replace timeline battles known from ATO. This is the much anticipated no timeline context battle system. Very cool. We have an art of a region here. Very stunning. Their artists are so good. You might now wonder how you will keep track of this new journey statistic. The same way you'll keep track of Oikos Fate and Oikos Rage, of course, on the supersized Oikos Triskelion. Well, that's right, so you'll have a new tool to keep track of the most used journey stats, one whose dials will go all the way to 12 instead of 9. Very cool indeed. So, Danger Fates, okay, so same kind of things. Very, very cool. That's one big Triskelion. I do really like this evolution of the UI from ATO so far too. Looks really good. The symbol is friggin' sweet. Now, you're probably wondering what Oikos Rage is. That's something we'll talk about next time. Suffice to say, it will both help you with setting up battles with Kratos pools, as well as hindering you during social skill tests. Maps of the new journey phase are periodically changed and refreshed, depending on the cyclical nature of seasons and the campaign progression, making backtracking fun and sometimes surprising. We're now at the stage of choosing a direction for the node's look. What do you guys think? Circle or no circle? I am pro not circle, but for the sake of clarity, circle probably makes sense for a gameplay standpoint. Heracleides, death, and more Heracleides. Argonauts, though rarely, could die. Heracleides could not. It made for a slightly less tense experience. You could only die when you run out of Titan Seeds. And by that point, you were all in the same boat. So, I've added an additional 4 starting Heracleides and their stories to Summer, and now you can die. Die, that is. Rejoice. Oh, now you can. Die, that is. Rejoice, Heracleides. Or no, sorry. Rejoice. Heracleides' deaths will still be less common than Argonaut ones, but they will happen. Sometimes even from their personal stories. Of course, this also means Heracleides can retire, just like Argonauts, though their retirement will be treated differently. A retired Heracleides can still be part of the Oikos' efforts as an ally, as a spy, or even as a summon. Summons in Sins of Heracles. Boom. Such a punchable face. So we don't know who this guy is. I think I've got a bit of a sun glare, so I can't really see the art too closely, but green eyes, I think, implies relations to the Heracleides. Yeah, so this sounds very, very cool. I do like the stress and the actual risk factor, that it all just being too... It's not an easy game, but like not the... Oh my god, words. Being able to lose your character is a risk, which is fun. As a frame of reference, in our Cycle 1, which was about 40-ish hours, we had only a single Argonaut die, and one or two that retired by the end. I can't actually recall. Onwards we go, though. Character progress. In ATO, your character develops through their Nemos cards, somewhat independently from your wills and wishes. Not so with the Heracleides. Each Heracleides starts with a unique special ability and a vice ability. Think Fated Nemos, like hindering effects, both of which can level up as you progress through your personal story, triggered at semi-random intervals, based on your experience points count. Sounds good to me? Yes, in Sins of Heracles, you earn experience points from story encounter skill tests, battles, carcass delves, main story, and more. And you spend that experience at cities and havens to level up your character's classes, which is very interesting. Sins of Heracles introduces character classes for your Heracleides for that ultimate role-playing / build creation experience. Summer introduces 4 classes, none of which are your typical fantasy fare. They are, broadly, the Decider, the Provider, the Protector, and the Guide. Each class will have its own experience tree of around 50 nodes, divided between battle abilities, passive abilities, journey abilities, skill bonuses, weapon masteries, and special stuff, like bonuses to awakening rolls. Oh, that's a huge one. That's cool. The Nemos thing is fine. It's cool. It's interesting, but it's not that engaging, or like, yeah, it's not that engaging. The abilities that they grant, cool for sure, and some of them are freaking terrifying and awful, but this sounds much more engaging. Just another thing to spend an hour each night debating over what to do as well. Shopping! Okay, once you get enough experience, you'll simply unlock a node of your class's tree and get the corresponding bonus token for skill tests, or ability for abilities and masteries. For ease of use, abilities come on cards, with each card divided into 3 tiers, just like Nemos cards. Note, and this is crucial, you'll be able to only equip a limited number of cards for your battles and journeys, starting with 2. Again, just like Nemos cards. That sounds good, because don't want that to spiral out of control and have just so much table creep in the scope. Excuse me. Remember, you are unlocking abilities, not cards. This means that oftentimes you'll have to choose between unlocking a higher tiered ability on a single card or getting a brand new ability with a new, probably stronger ability. Or a new card with a new, probably stronger ability. Choices, choices, choices. I'm expecting the class system to really open up character creation and allow you to tailor your Heracleides to your particular needs and playstyles. Though the Heracleides will have a more defined story than the Argonauts, funnily enough, you'll have the freedom to make them your own. Fun mix. Sample decider tree, straight from my worksheets. Note, multi-classing options to the left and right. Very interesting. So provider, I'm a provider, I'm going to work hard. Cool. Very cool indeed. Onwards, more gear, much more gear. Enough said. Each season has more unique primordials than each cycle, and each will take you longer to complete. So it only makes sense to give you more tools to tinker and theorycraft with. More gear for everyone. New keywords, new paradigms. How much? Cycle 1 had around 70 unique gear pieces. Summer has around 155. Yes, you do the math. So these are the ones that we saw earlier in the updates. Just kind of, yep, good cool arts. More small primordials and how they work. As I've developed since Pericles, the food chain relations between specific primordials and their quarries, small primordials, has become all the more clear. A lion eater hunting Nemean lions, a Stymphalian bird separating from the Stormfront swarm, gigatons following Othros like fleas, and so on. Everywhere there was some sort of deeper connection. It really informed their multi-layered integration into the whole experience, from the journey phase where they really impact you globally, and where you will hunt them for special, rare resources through stories, all the way to battles. The last one is perhaps of most interest to you. Unlike the AE Siren in Cycle 5, a sort of test run for the whole system, these small primordials have more intimate relationships with primordials, with which they are tightly bound, to the point that their spawn will be governed by a special card inserted into the BP A or AI deck of the Big Baddie. That's fun. And when they spawn, they will behave exactly like you would expect. A Nemean lion will stalk the savannah-like grasslands of Nemea, attacking titans and all other denizens, unless it is seen by the lion eater, at which point a frantic chase will ensue. That's also not the only way to spawn it. You may smoke out an additional lion by burning the sea of grass, or you may encounter it in its den in one of the Nemean spires. Best of all, each small primordial comes with a unique loot drop. Fun stuff, love that. And the divide between civilization and wilderness in all game aspects became that much more pronounced. I started to wonder, shouldn't we have more quarries? Some who live in the wild and some who encroach on the land of mortals? And that's how we ended up with more small primordials. Cards, miniatures, and all. How many, you ask? 1? Maybe 2? No. We're doubling the number of small primordials per season. I thought in total, but per season. Wow. For example, this is the additional roster for summer. The Black Ants of Nemea's interior, the Spotted Manta that competes with the Sarcophagus for tender siren meat, and the Griffin Termite, a locust that finds itself outperformed by the terror-inducing Stormfront. This is just a huge example of why ITU is freaking awesome. Scope creep. I don't even know if it's calling their stuff scope creep because, like, they deliver. Yeah, they deliver late, but they deliver so much. So maybe it is scope creep. I guess that is the definition of. But it's also just how they iterate and refine on stuff. And, like, they don't have a fully polished, finished product when they launch the campaign. It's very much, like, in iterations, which makes for long delivery windows. But it's so cool watching things come together and just how much stuff is included by the time it arrives at the door. Okay, so that's going to be the Black Ant of Nemea. Very creepy, cool. Some body horror involved there too. You saw the ant, right? Yes. How about this will be that bird, I believe. Creepy, creepy bird thing. Griffin Termite, gotta be. Or maggot thing. And what's this? This looks like the manta thing that was mentioned. Just judging from the name, it looks manta-like. But I do not know for sure, because it doesn't say. So it might be something else. Is this your father? Oh, yeah, we'll save this reveal for a minute. Her father was possibly the illustration I had the most problems with. It conveyed the otherworldly terror of the being, and the many, many unique ways in which it will kill your Heracleides. But it was just too much. Plus, we lost that human touch. Human connection to the father that will leave you at the very beginning of your journey. It was time for an epic rework. We went to one of the genre's best artists, Feng Wei, to help us realize a new, more Greek-like vision. One that pays homage to all that came before, and dare I say it, all that will follow. I give you your father. Yeah, that is pretty freaking stunning. More Greek-like for sure. Kind of like Halo-esque around the head there. More human-like, absolutely too. Cool. Yeah, I like the previous one, but it did seem like really, really eldritch and kind of disconnected from the relationship per se. I'll be really curious how they do this in a sculpt too. Yeah, that looks sweet though. Very cool indeed. I saw a good comment on the update too about someone commenting how the Titans, if I'm remembering the lore correctly, ate their children for power, and I think Zeus might have done the same. And so Heracles is basically doing the same here too by the looks of it. Another rework for the ages. Yeah, just want to look at this. I'm just going to have a quick sip of coffee and just breathe this fellow in. Yep, very cool. Okay, production update. Now on to more formal matters. With Sins of Heracles development firing on all cylinders and the giant strides being made month on month, as well as the increased scope per season box, the split of delivery is all but a foregone conclusion. Aeon Trespass is a very personal project of mine, grand and uncompromising. It's me all the way to the bone. I will always deliver you the very best I have to offer, but I'm just one man, and I'm bottlenecking the whole thing. I can promise you that I'm working day and night, in and out of office, to deliver you a worthy successor to ATO, and that I won't rest until it's all in your hands. Then I'll probably take a long vacation. Rightfully so. That said, summer, including Last Stand, the Pathfinder Titan Doom of Pythagoras, and Skyward Odyssey are scheduled to be sent to the factory fall 2025, with autumn, winter, and spring following next year, for a hopeful Christmas 2026 delivery. This is a very manageable timeline, one I'll try to improve on as the year goes on, developing the new main paradigms, namely the new journey, Carcassel, Heracles heroes, classes, and character progression and encounters, with the most time-consuming task, and that's done. I'm already developing the later seasons, and let me tell you, you're in for a ride. I do believe it. This is the Antillean Dragon, I believe. Hard at work indeed. Normandy PM, we covered this already. It is live. It's called Game Flights. Cool stuff. Kingdoms Forlorn in China. Right around the corner. You can practically taste it. Later this week, I'm flying to China to check on production and make sure it goes as smoothly as possible. I hope to snap some pictures from the factories and share with you as soon as possible. Very cool. Online store news. We're not quite ready to announce the next online store update. We want to make sure the next sale goes smoothly. But we can share some of the new miniatures coming in the near future. Very cool. Maybe something to do with Cycle 3, just given it's got that icy motif, or something brand new, who knows. And this, I think, will be to do with summer, because that grass motif is something that we've seen in art for the Summer Titans, or summer season. Beard, Nymph, and Reacher. Last but not least, if you follow us on our social media, you might have seen these two April Fool's beauties. For those who did not, here's a recap. The Beard Nymph is an enigmatic being drawn only to the most powerful, potent beards. They say that when the Beard Nymph passes through a village, even children grow beards. Infants have to settle for far-out soul patches. So this is obviously April Fool's, but this is low-key kind of amazing, and I'm here for it. Yeah, the pose, the sculpt, heck yes. I would not mind if this ended up in their online store. And the newest Titan, Reacher. Reacher wanders the wilds of Hellas, occasionally helping small business owners and salt-of-the-earth people. It's a wholesome Titan, a veritable Sherlock Holmes by way of Arnold Schwarzenegger. You might assume it's a Heracles, as it's a no Argo-bred sockets, as it has no Argo-bred sockets. Don't. Assumptions get you killed. Yep, some Arnie vibes there for sure. Maybe a little Buster Sword kind of vibe. I don't know what that says, but very cool nonetheless. Reacher is on his way to a tariffs debate. Fun stuff. That's a wrap for today, folks. Until next time, take care. So that was a big update full of super fun, exciting things. Love to see all the reworks. And just the fact that they're doing all these reworks, I'm thrilled with, because I'm pretty sure during the campaign, Marcin had commented being happy with all of the stuff. And yeah, stoked on all the reworks. Really cool across the board. And just watching ITU development cycles go on full cylinder is one of my favorite parts of the campaign, which is weird to say, but love it. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. Bye!